Useful, written by ChangeGirlYuki and read for you by Eleanor Elizabeth. Summary: thank you for saving my husband. And then suddenly, Izuku had his arms full of excited pro-hero. What? Or, how quirkless Analyst Izuku meets two of his favourite heroes after saving the lives of one of said heroes and gets an unexpected offer. This was bad. This was very bad, actually. Izuku felt like he was about to either puke, faint, or do both as he walked down the corridor of the hospital, making his way to the room that his boss had demanded him go to. A room where he was to meet an injured pro-hero, if his conclusion was correct. And there it was already. Izuku stopped in front of the plain white door that didn't look any different from its neighbours, yet it would probably destroy whatever kind of future he had in front of him. There was no way this could possibly mean anything good. Not at all. 1 month at the analytic department of the police, and he'd already messed up. In his defence, the data he'd gotten for this case was almost none, and what he had gotten had been such little quality that he'd been glad to even be able to work with it at all. But of course, it hadn't been enough, and someone had gotten hurt. And that someone must be whoever was waiting for him behind that door. Well, at least I tried, Izuku muttered quietly to himself as he raised his hand to knock. It had been a miracle to even get into the analytics department anyways, with him being quirkless and everything. No matter how much his colleagues had praised him, Izuku knew that he would always be a useless Deku. And now he was starting to think about what else a quirkless nobody like him could do for a living, because he was about to get fired. Well, technically he'd already been fired the moment his boss had gotten the message that demanded Izuku's appearance at the hospital right after the case had been dealt with that day. The man also didn't make any effort to hide how pleased he'd have been to get rid of Izuku again. Izuku's knuckles didn't get the chance to make contact with the door in front of him before it was ripped open, and the person opening it, Izuku's jaw dropped, and he felt his knees grow weak. In front of him was none other than pro-hero Present Mike, and from the looks of it, the blonde voice hero was pretty agitated. "Are you the analyst who's been assigned to the XX case?" Present Mike asked, his greenish-yellow eyes burning holes into Izuku's body. Yes, sir," Izuku answered, unable to stop himself from stuttering. Why couldn't it have been a hero he was a little less familiar with? But no, it had to be one of his favourite too. Present Mike was within Izuku's personal top 5 favourite heroes, and now he would hate Izuku for messing up. "Thank you for saving my husband!" And suddenly, Izuku had his arms full of excited pro-hero. "What?" "Hisashi, let the kid breathe," a rough voice interrupted. The voice belonged to a very heavily bandaged person lying on one of the hospital beds. From what Izuku could see, they were very badly injured. Only their long black hair and a pair of black eyes were visible. The rest of their body was covered in bandages and plasters. And from the looks of it, one of their arms was broken as well, if the cast was anything to go by. As fast as Present Mike had hugged him, did the pro-hero let go of Izuku again. "Right, sorry little listener," he said, smiling sheepishly. "I'm just so happy." It was a good thing that there was an unoccupied chair close by, because Izuku really needed to sit down now. He felt dizzy, and there were actual black dots starting to cloud his vision. Somehow, he managed to sit down without falling, and forced himself to take a few deep breaths before looking up at the two heroes again. Present Mike, or Hisashi, had sat down on the bed again, joining his fellow hero. He was still smiling brightly at Izuku, though. "I don't understand," Izuku finally managed, looking from one to the other. "It's thanks to your analysis that I made it out of that mission alive," the other hero said. "Yeah, if it wasn't for your analysis, my Shota would have died, so I told your boss that I needed to see you ASAP to thank you," Present Mike emphasised and grabbed Shota's hand. My analysis was useful?" Izuku asked, disbelief evident in his voice, his green eyes burning with tears, and he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Yeah, some of the best I've ever seen," Shota said, and Izuku got the feeling that he was smiling beneath all the bandages. And that was the final straw. The famous Midoriya tears made their way and spilled out of him. "Hey, why are you crying?" Present Mike asked, concerned, and got up again, rushing over to Izuku's side, taking his trembling hands into his. "It's nothing," Izuku answered. "I'm just happy." And that was the truth. Izuku was happy. He was happy beyond everything. He hadn't messed up. He had been useful. And those two heroes were actually thanking him. Granted, he could have done better so that nobody would have gotten injured, but still. It took quite a bit of time for Izuku to calm down again, and when he finally learned that Shota was actually a race ahead, his personal number 1, he was a goner again. "Your sweet little listener," Present Mike, or Yamada Hisashi, as he insisted, said. "Almost nobody out here even knows about a race ahead. and that's how I like it, Shota said. But Izuku had still got the feeling that the underground hero was impressed, and even a little happy too. Well, I'm glad we have such competent and amazing people like you in the analytic department, Yamada said, and smiled at Izuku. But that smile soon turned into a frown when he noticed Izuku's change of expression. What's wrong, kid? Shota asked, beating his husband to it. When you demanded my presence here, my boss, they kind of assumed that I messed up, because I've just been at the department for a month, and I'm just a quirkless nobody, and I've been fired? Izuku's info dump was met with silence, and he finally managed to look up from where he'd been playing with his fingers. The furious looks and vibes he got from the pro-hero pair startled him quite a bit. They did what? Yamada yelled, his quirk erased halfway through his outburst. But I'm used to it, really. I'm always useless, so it's only a matter of time till they would fire me, and I'm glad I got the chance to help at least once, so... Feeling helpless, Izuku shrugged and looked back down at his hands. Midoriya, Shota, or should he start calling him Eraserhead now? Said, causing him to look up at him again questioningly. You are far from useless. I've worked with a lot of analysts before, and only very, very few of them were on your level. Your work was professional, useful, and it saved my life today. If you don't mind, I would gladly introduce you to someone who will not only appreciate your skills, but also help you develop a name in the business, though with your skills it's only a matter of time. Really? Izuku asked, looking at the man in awe. Yeah, Yamada said, underlying his husband's offer. Okay then, I mean, I don't have work right now anyway, so I would love to help, and if it's not a bother to you, it's not. And now, please, you two, leave me alone so I can nap. I'm tired and you're being loud, Hazashi. Izuku spluttered, but before he could apologize again, Yamada just laughed lightly and got up, walking out the room with him. Tired Shota's even more grumpy than usual, Shota, he said and smiled at Izuku. Don't mind him, and thank you, again. The last part Yamada said with such seriousness that it left Izuku speechless. He could only nod and smile shakily. And if Izuku came close to fainting once more that evening when he got a call from Nezu, the principal of UA, then nobody had to know about that. The end. Also, as a little reader's side note, the end has cat, bunny, and parrot emojis around them, and they're very cute. Go look at the fic so you can see them, because they're very adorable.